Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Lee. I'm the CEO of OKEX. Yes, it's a great opportunity for the exchange representative that come here to share the updates of the exchange industry. Why not we have each of us spend with a very short introduction of yourself, and also your exchange, the area you cover, the product, or some kind of stuff. Let me introduce myself. I mentioned I'm the OKEX CEO. I got more than 10 years experience in capital market, public company operation, and also investment experience in fintech and also digital payment sector. Maybe we go with Jess first.
Sure. Co-founder and CEO of Kraken. Kraken is a digital asset exchange. We support 17 different assets. Prior to Kraken, I had a company selling virtual items and currencies for online games like World of Warcraft Gold. Been in Bitcoin since 2011.
Ted.
Hi, my name's Ted. I'm from Binance, and I've always been in the tech industry. Undergrad and grad in computer science, been through the mobile, big data, and now in the blockchain side of things. Just curious, how many of you have heard of Binance? Thank you.
Very good marketing and publicity.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
It's Kai.
Hi, my name is Kai Long Kai. My background was in traditional finance. I was in one of the investment bank in New York for about 8 years. Then I went back to China to set up IFC 1000, which is the leading association in the fintech industry. And then I joined Huobi actually recently, but I was in this cryptocurrency industry and blockchain industry for 3 years. One of the things I'm pretty proud of is I was the columnist for 25 finance journals in China. So I kind of publish a lot of articles and do a lot of research on blockchain and crypto industry. I guess I don't want to follow tests like who knows Huobi, because I know Binance is have more customers in United States than Huobi. But Huobi is like growing very fast, and we are growing into United States. And I'm here, the reason I'm here, actually I came to here 1 week ago, and we set up the Huobi US and all this stuff. And our headquarters will be in the San Francisco financial district. So our plan is to grow internationally, and US will be our focus right now. So thank you all.
And Mike, please.
Yeah, hello, my name is Mike Kayamori. I'm the founder, CEO of Coin. So we're not in the US. We don't accept US customers. We're the first, and why am I here? Well, we're the first global exchange regulated and licensed in Japan. So we're pro-regulation. We do all the KYCs, and that's the reason we can't accept residents from the US. We are in the process of FinCEN, but again, that's just in preparation. So from that perspective, I can talk a lot more around Japan regulation, some of the ICOs and things that are happening in Asia. Prior to Coin, I was in charge of SoftBank Asia, entire business in India, Southeast Asia, Singapore, on joint ventures, partnerships, M&A, and investment. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. I need to give you the introduction about OKEX as well. We not only cover fiat, we also do the Coin. We are world's largest future on the cryptos exchange in the world. We are going to conquer America as well. So, and also create jobs for America. So great introduction for each of our peers on the panel. So the first question we want to know about the development of the industry, and also what's happening in the market, who are buying the cryptos, investing in cryptos, according to demographic, gender, and more insight, trading volume, how much they invest the first initial investment in cryptos. We cover from Kraken cover Europe and US. We're going Japan, and Binance and also Huobi, can share those insights. according to our statistics in Asia, so as more is the age before is like roughly from 20 to 30, 35 are the majority the investor of crypto for the last 2 years. But it's getting more and more people at the older age. And the gender, still the male investor dominate the market. And we can see that even the population invested in cryptos increased a lot. Like the statistics in Korea, now it's 30% of Korean citizens own the crypto. I'm not sure of the statistics from Europe and the US. Maybe Jess can share a bit of the insights.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the stats on how many people, or percentage of the population own crypto in the US or Europe. But we're seeing about the same thing in terms of age demographics and gender, by far, mostly male. And the average age of our clients is 35 years old, median age 32. And we're seeing, I think prior to the last 6 months, it was much more so this kind of like mid-30s age bucket of kind of more tech-savvy people with a little bit of money to invest. Lately, we're seeing a lot of both of the extremes, like really young people getting in, like 18-year-olds opening accounts with just a little bit of money, and also like we've had people like 70 years old, like legitimately like actual people 70 plus opening accounts to trade. And I think their approaches to it are really interesting. You know, the kinds of things, it's gotten, I think, a little bit scary when people start to tell you about their strategies, which are like, I'm looking at coins with like three zeros after the decimal because those are like the cheap ones that are going to go up. So anyway, that's what we're seeing.
Okay. How about tech?
Okay, I think from a Binance perspective, we are looking at the second leg of it. So because we're a crypto-only exchange, naturally every user who comes or visits our website have already taken that leap of faith. I think the first purchase are usually Bitcoin or Ethereum, if not others. And after they've done that, they found that the erratic swings is not as exciting. It's pretty much vanilla because they found there are tokens who's doing a lot more multiples, upwards or downwards. Then they start getting to know the different tokens. I think there's more than like 1,500 tokens in the market right now. Obviously, we don't list all that much. It's another question that Chris will address. So what we're seeing is that if you look at the visitors to the Binance.com website, since we are quite popular, if you look at Alexa ranking for the Binance website, we're about 270th, so number 270 globally. And in the US, I believe we are the 70th most popular website. So the demographic, I think, has some merit. The biggest one being US, second one being Japanese visitors, third one being UK, fourth one being India, fifth one being China. Now, whether or not they can trade or not, that's a different story. But visitor-wise, that's the kind of stats we're looking at. The age of 25 to 35, male dominantly, is the kind of idea we get from community engagement. And many of the people are actually starting to try their luck in the altcoins and token side of things. So we see that it's going to be the second part or the catalyst for cryptocurrency going forth.
I see. How about Mike?
Yeah, I think I can talk more from a Japan angle.
Yep.
Right. So when I started this company almost 4 years ago, it was obviously the early adopters.
Yeah.
So who are they? So these were the people who were immersed in FX. Right. So they would trade U.S. dollar, U.S. Japanese yen, pound, and they were looking for the next excitement. Right. So it was natural for them to come to the next shiny asset class. And so, as you may know, Japan is the largest retail FX market in the world. There's a word called Mrs. Watanabe, right? So these housewives who invest in FX, actually, they're all male, right? They're ladyboys. But so these people started coming into cryptocurrency, and it really started becoming one of the largest markets in the world. Right now, last April, Japan was the first country to regulate crypto nationwide, right?
Yep.
Nationwide. So without a license, you cannot provide service to Japanese residents unless you were doing service prior to last April, right? So if you were doing prior to last April, you're okay, but if you're starting new, you cannot. So ever since then, the younger generations are coming in masses, like early 20s, 30s. It's actually better than FX, it's better than equities, it's better than bonds because you can have an emotional attachment with the token that you prefer, right? Bitcoin is easier to understand than trying to understand a financial statement of a company and looking at its PER. So all these things, initially, crypto was a subset of FX. Now it's actually not. I think that it's bigger than FX or equities because that's what the younger generation typically want right now. So there's a big shift in demographic. The one that is still not in there are the midlife crisis, 50s, 60s, not mobile centered and all these. But I think it's a matter of time as well. When you look at Korea, everybody from your grandmother to a university student, they're all talking about crypto. So it is coming.
In general, what's the percentage of Japanese population invest in cryptos? Do you have some sort of idea?
I wouldn't say a percentage or per capita, right? But I would say that they're very much interested in doing leverage trading, right? Coming from the FX world. That said, Japan, it's more around Bitcoin. Altcoin is still very small. And there's a reason for that. The government actually approves each crypto or each token, right? So you cannot just offer a new token, and that could be maybe a different topic, but that's why in Japan it's predominantly Bitcoin right now.
Understood. Kai, do you have any information to share?
Well, yeah, I think we are in the same industry, so we pretty much see the same trend. But I might provide more numbers, like, for example, the gender-wise. We see, like, half a year ago, the male to female customers is like 4 versus 1. And then 2 months ago, we checked the data, it's become 3.3 versus 1. So you see that the female customers are increasing very fast. And they follow the same trends that a lot of people's like interested in trading or buying or holding those cryptocurrencies. So that's one thing that I want to share. Another thing is because for B, we are, most of the customers come from China, about 70%, I guess. And then we cover 130 countries. But US is a very, very limited customer because, the regulation stuff, as Mike already mentioned. But we have quite a lot from Japan because we have 2 licenses there in Japan. And when we look at the age distribution, we are very surprised to see about half of them is coming from 30 age to 50 years old. And because compared to China, and majority of the customers from China is on average 25 years old. So I guess because the population, the age, but we see that that trend is still changing. Because more and more people get involved, and you see the distribution is getting more and more follow the same pattern. Also, we got other guys see. The other thing I want to mention is before we see most clients they are speculating on the stuff, do a lot of trading stuff, but now we see more people that just want to keep it as an investment. That's the trend we see in our client base. Yeah.
And so we see more and more people invest in Bitcoins. That's fair anyway. The other way, the most question that people want to know is regarding the secret of listing. I know Japan is very tough, right? The FSA is going to, as a safeguard, and also do a lot of approval. So the listing, it takes very long time. You need to each coin you need to be approved. But the other jurisdiction and other exchange may be more flexible. Maybe Ted can tell our audience more regarding the secret of listing. What sorts of criteria, elements of consideration to list the tokens?
Sure. As I travel over the world for different conferences, I get asked two questions that are highly popular. One is, what are you going to list next? And the other is, how do we list? Right? I think it has become a craze for people to try to jump on the next big thing. And different project teams from all over the world, they're trying to be funded with crypto to make or realize their project by appealing to the masses. And there are only a few different ways, aside from meeting the team, understanding what they do, and just Googling to really understand whether or not you've picked the right project. And exchanges, naturally, are one of the few ways you can look for reference on whether or not you've picked the black horse. For us, we actually do a very proprietary methodology, combining the basics of the good old world of, is the team good? Do they have good track records? Have they made actual product? Or is it only the alpha mode or white paper mode? Do they actually use blockchain technology for real? Or is it whatever and just slap the blockchain to the end of it, hoping to raise money? We like to see projects that are not looking for extravagant amount of money. Because we don't like people who kind of shove a few Lambos in their tab and just claim that they need it. We like people who are modest. We like teams who actually have an existing user base for products. Aside from that, I think there's a lot of proprietary considerations we take into account, which we're not prepared to openly share. Because if we share those metrics, those may be engineered. Just like if people look for, okay, so how many Facebook fans you have, then they go and acquire it. And then that metric become a vanity index. So overall, I would say we actually pass less than 3% of all applicants in our reviews. So don't be alarmed or worry if your project is not approved and become listed on Binance. It's actually the norm. 97% of those are rejected. And that's good news for investors as well. So just a little bit for sharing.
Okay. Can I share a bit about the token listing requirements for your exchange?
Sure. I think in here, I think only like 3 of us have the listed of those altcoins. I'm curious. You can tell something
Jesse
about.
also, Kraken also have a common one as well, but it's only quite limited, right?
Right. Yeah. So basically, this is not a secret of listing of the coin. I mean, we take a little bit different approach comparing to Binance. We have a criteria or credit system. We call it credit system. It's called Smart Chain. We actually publish that criteria. It's actually based on 5 criteria and 37 small items on that. And we scored it every item when the project or when the what they call white papers and come up. And then this is what we score like in 5 main categories. Like what's the strategy aspect? It's a fundamental coin, or it's an application level coin, or it's just a coin. It's just a crypto. And then second layer, we look at the management side. How good is this team and how they manage, how they allocate those coins in the distribution. And third aspect, obviously, is the technology. And then the fourth aspect is like, is this a good market? Can they get popular in the secondary market when they issue it? And last one is look at the potential of this upside and downside. So we actually list all the categories on the side. But one thing we don't publish, one thing we don't share is how we weight these items, and that's proprietary. Because as Ted mentioned, we don't want to share that to the public, so the guys can check the system. So it's obvious there's so many people want to list it in the exchange, and famous exchange, so they can get the money and get all the stuff, get the support. But we have right now we have 200 coins that waiting on the list. And our accept percentage is really low, really low. So I guess, as we always know, that this is the first defense. We really don't want these bad guys and go to public, go to get all the funds from the investor. So we have in this way, we have the same strategy as Binance, but because the criteria, we actually publish all the 5 criteria and 37 items, and you can just look up the website called Smart Chain Credit Assistance. Yeah.
Great. For OKX, we are one of the top 5 coin exchange globally. We also have a score system. So ICO project, high risk, high return project, is different to PE and VC. So we look at majority 2 areas. The first thing is growth strategy, the product position, and the technology part, the white paper. So our tech team going to look very detailedly regarding their technology part. And also how large is market, this group. If there's any ceiling up to that market, any foundation of the users of the blockchain technology that provide to community. And the track record is everything because it doesn't like the other business. They have business. Yeah, also they have a business plan, but for the token is majority token, utility token, not equity token. So track record is everything, and also we do a reference check as well. And then we focus on risk. That's more like the technology part, the security, the characteristic of the technology, and again, very important part is the reference checking. So far for our coins, the one that listed in OKX, is very small, a single percentage only. So again, it takes a bit of while, and we slow down the listing, listing of the coin. So it takes quite long. I would say at least from a couple of weeks to 1 month to approve 1 coin. Let's go for the next questions regarding there are a lot of people think whether the crypto market is manipulated by those big whales. And that's the first question. And together, that's also related to market making activities. So, and according to Bitcoin, like a 4% address, I can like 70% of the Bitcoin's positions. Jess, do you have an idea? Do you want to comment this?
Sure. I mean, I guess there's kind of a core question as to whether market manipulation actually exists as a thing. I like to think of it more as when people say that, I think what they mean is the psychology of traders is somehow manipulated by posting trades or news or anything that might influence their trading behavior. In the less liquid markets, there certainly are large holders. I mean, we know from just the founding teams themselves could have massive holdings of these coins. I mean, Ripple, one prime example, where the company or the foundation has like 60% of the coins. So when you have that kind of money, it's easy for you to put some at risk. And anytime somebody's posting a trade, they're putting that money at risk. So it's not just like it's costless to put up a big order. It's easy for them to do that. We don't see it happening really a lot. I mean, there are definitely whales that are market making. They're doing arbitrage on all the exchanges. But I wouldn't say that anybody has like a massive influence over the price individually.
I see. Mike, please.
Yeah, so I look at it a little differently, right? I actually think that it's not the whales that manipulate, right? And because anybody can manipulate, especially in illiquid tokens, right? A hedge fund that has, 10 million, 20 million under asset management, I mean, they can manipulate as well, right? The way I look at it is there's no real true market makers yet. They're more opportunity-based hedge funds. If they find an opportunity to make money, they will make money, and they can move the price. It's not around like because they're whales. They move because they can move the market with their orders, right? And they might, sometimes they collude with their friends and all these things, but it happens in unregulated, illiquid markets. And that's why over time what's going to happen is when there's more participants, when there's more institutional investors, when there's more retail investors, the market is going to mature. And that's where exactly, for example, in Japan, the Japan version of SEC is looking into each exchange, making sure how are the prices made, right? Is the exchange involved? Who are the large traders there? We have to provide all information. So if the exchange is not capable or willing to share those information, they will not be regulated or licensed in Japan. So that is what's going to happen, right? So a lot of the countries are looking into Japan for guidance on best practices, code of conduct. It's still the Wild West, right? So things will evolve. It's just going to take a little bit more time.
I see. Kai, you want to add some points?
Yeah, I think it really depends on which coins they look at, right? If you look at the most liquid ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum, I don't think that we have like market manipulations existing. But if you look at like very illiquid coins or new listed coin, you will see very often. I mean, if the owner or if the founder have like 60% of the coins, I mean, it's actually happening a lot in our analysis. So I think that really depends on what kind of coins you're looking at. And I agree with Mike, as market more mature and as more people coming into this market and make the market more liquid, and then sometimes more regulations on this one, then this market manipulation things will go down. Yeah, that's my view.
Tak, do you want to add some points?
Sure. I think as investors, you want to be looking for a place where there's enough depth. So the sell orders and buy orders are dense enough for you not to lose too much on your spread. Binance actually, I think it kind of snowballed because for some reason, no matter if it's people like our interface, people like the trading experience, or people just like the really prudent approach, we pick projects. Majority of the projects we list, we actually have the dominant liquidity in the market. So that's over 50% of the volume of that particular token projects on Binance. I think for crypto, it's very interesting in that it can actually list on multiple different exchanges, yet the actual last traded price on different exchanges are different. And there naturally will be people who's doing arbitrage to kind of bring those in line and reduce the spread in different exchanges. But nevertheless, as investors or traders especially, I would say depth is still one of the first trades you want to consider. And whales, if they are big investors, I would say they exist. Some of them are out to play, some of them are out to arbitrage, some of them just a regular investor who want to make money. So overall, I think, yes, they do exist,
Okay.
but not necessarily with evil intention, I would say.
I see.
Say one more thing on that point. I think if you feel like your psychology is being manipulated by a chart that you're looking at, you can always just trade the fundamentals. You don't need to trade the chart.
Back to basic. Yeah. One very interesting, I shouldn't say interesting, it's a shock actually, like yesterday. Coincheck is the biggest hack in crypto exchange history. Even more than, they lost more than $500 million US, actually more than the Mt. Gox. So security is a huge issue of exchange and what the investor worry about. So I think Jess is the best position to comment this issue. I wonder, are you offered help after the Mt. Gox case?
I don't know, man. I'm spending too much
He's a
time.
white knife. I mean,
Too much time in Japan.
Very, very good reputation in Japan as well. So you're a legitimate one to make a comment.
Well, I hope that they do what Bitfinex did and find a way to pay everybody back at least what they have before they go into some multi-year bankruptcy process. The Gox stuff is still going on 4 years later. So if you're a bag holder there, I think it's not in your interest to force that into a bankruptcy process. Just kind of take whatever you can get. Security is something we think about constantly. It was at the core of building the exchange, and we were inspired to build the exchange because of what happened to Mt. Gox the first time in 2011. We felt like security is the thing you really have to put first, and if you can't do that, you might as well not even start the business. So we've been a bit slow at times to make upgrades to the system, to add new coins, and it's because we're just extremely careful about the way we do things. And I think that this is a long game. It's a marathon, not a race, and we intend to stick around for a long time, and so it just means being careful all the time. There are constantly hackers trying to get at you, not just your servers, but we saw a lot of prominent members of the community have their cell phone numbers ported away. People are getting kidnapped now. It's just out of control. But yeah, something everyone needs to think about. You ought to be, if you're talking about Bitcoin in social media, you should think twice about it and about what kind of personal information you have out there, because people are showing up at people's houses.
Okay, Mike. So with Japan exchange community, will you guys offer help for contract?
Yeah, so it's a hot topic from yesterday night, right? So I haven't been able to sleep because a lot of media is contacting me right now. I think one challenge is when you grow too fast, too quickly, you take shortcuts. And this is no pun intended, but when you grow too much, when you offer too many tokens, when you want to, there's a trade-off between customer convenience and security. For example, we are 100% cold wallet, 100%. People hate that, right? We whitelist withdrawal addresses, and we only give one withdrawal whitelist address per customer. So there's no way a hacker, because you'll always be compromised. There's hackers who will try to manipulate, take your social engineering, everything, right? So it's whether if it's in your company's DNA, where people will always say security is important, safety is important, but are you really taking those measures, right? And it was very clear that some exchanges, despite saying that it's important, that they're not doing it in actual practice. So it's actually up to the individual to make sure that the service provider or the exchange that you're using are putting these measures in, right? So we do that. We get in a lot of trouble. People remind us how terrible we are on our withdrawals, but again, that's to protect our customers, right? So again, where even in a regulated market in Japan, these things happen, and I'm sure it's happening globally, right? Because it's in Japan, you actually need to go public and explain. Some exchanges don't do that, right? So it's very important that it's up to each individual to make sure that the service provider that you're using puts security front and foremost, because we are always a target. We will continue to be a target.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. We finish our time, and probably we share our views on next Blockchain Connect in June, probably. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.